Welcome to Our Heritage. We're so glad you joined us today. Our first guest today is Jackie Clay, Historic Preservationist. That's the title I'm going to give you because that's the one I want to present.
Okay, that'll work.
From General Coffee State Park. Jackie, welcome, and we're so glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the preservation problems and processes on the farm.
Preservation challenges.
Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
We like to call them challenges and not problems. Currently, we are experiencing some challenges with our two historic buildings that we use as display buildings on our farm. That would be the Meeks Cabin and the Kirkland Tobacco Barn. Both of them have been in location for a while now and have experienced some issues, and we've got some problems structurally with the Meeks Cabin and with the Tobacco Barn. We're in the process right at the moment of trying to gather up information more than what we have in our files, so that we can actually start some restoration projects on them, hopefully within the coming year.
Okay. So, if you have information out there on the Meeks Cabin, and if I'm not mistaken, the Tobacco Barn came from Will Kirkland's farm?
I believe it did, yes, Will Kirkland's farm.
If you have information about that, please let them know. One of my favorite things is just going out there walking and learning about I learn something every time I go. The first cabin, as you walk into on the left, is that the education?
Yes, we refer to it as the Relihan. It was donated to us by the Relihan family, and has been, from what I have been told, it's got a lot of changes that was done to it since the day it was actually donated to the park. It was an old hunting and fishing cabin, and it was updated. The floors were redone, the electricity was redone. Yes, it has air conditioning in it. It is our primary education building. It is where we work with our school groups. It's where we do our summer camps out of. And we do have a few displays in there, some artifacts that we don't want actually exposed out to the weather. It's also where our quilting group meets on Wednesdays from 10 until 2.
I was going to ask about the quilting group because I went out there a couple of times and they told me I needed to find another hobby because I couldn't even thread the needle, much less. It was just a terrible mistake on my part to think I could participate. What's happening out at the farm now?
Right at the moment, it's very hot. I'm battling deer in the farm gardens, but actually right now we're getting ready for our summer camps. It's just pretty much maintaining, things right now and taking care of the animals and getting everybody, through this weather and through the storms that we're having and everything like that right at the moment.
Well, what about volunteers? I have been out to the farm when there were people making lye soap and all that kind of stuff. Do y'all plan on doing that?
Yeah, we would love to do that. I do all of them, but it is becoming more and more difficult to find people who still know how to actually do those skills, who still have that skill set. And are willing to demonstrate and pass that on to the next generation, because we are losing those skills as our older generations are leaving us, and we definitely need more volunteers who are capable of doing that, and even if they don't have the skills but they want to learn how and demonstrate them. We're more than happy to teach people how to do the stuff, and then in exchange they would demonstrate during our events and on weekends.
See, this is another opportunity for you to participate in community service.
Yeah, there you go.
Go out, call the park, say, I know how to do this. I used to, Libbo Birch, Belger, used to make the baskets out there. I'd buy them. I got several at my house.
We have several in our displays at the farm.
So if you know how to make baskets, call her.
Yeah, basket making, recaning chairs, quilting, any kind of textile related type thing. It's people don't think about it, but things like needlepoint and crewel work and that kind of stuff, people aren't doing those anymore.
No, they're not.
So any kind of demonstrations like that.
In the Meeks Cabin a couple of years ago, they cooked biscuits. In the fireplace. I won't ever forget that. Is the fireplace in danger? Or
It is, and right now, because of some of the structural issues with the building itself, we have stopped doing any kind of fires actually in the fireplace right now. until we can get that fireplace replaced. The fireplace is actually separating from the building, and it's got some cracks in it, and we just don't want to risk, doing actually anything in there.
They're still relatively safe buildings, but they're just...
Oh yeah, no, they're perfectly safe to walk in, walk around. At this point, we're trying to head off having to close them down. Right. We do have the front porch roped off on the Meeks cabin, just because there's some floorboard issues, and we just don't want a whole bunch of people going up and standing on the front porch at the same time.
This is a great opportunity for you to go see our heritage. Between tobacco and farming, that was our first love. Before we had trains and turpentine even, we had small farms and tobacco. We had to have that tobacco, money-making crop. So give them a contact so they can contact you if they'd like to volunteer or give more information on the cabins we've talked about.
Yeah, there are lots of ways you can contact me. Again, my name's Jackie Clay. My official title is Interpretive Ranger at the state park out here. You can call the park's main office, 912-384-7082. You can email me. We have a Facebook page, both our friends group and the state parks have Facebook pages. There's just so many ways that you can actually get in touch with me. Stop by the office.
Ride by.
I'm there 5 days out of the week, and if I'm not in the office, I can tell you where I'm at. But yeah, we're more than happy to talk to anybody. We would love to have new volunteers coming out.
So please give them a call. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Here in Georgia, summertime means school's out, time for vacations and family fun.
It also means warmer temperatures, and the heat inside a closed car can quickly rise to dangerous, even deadly levels.
That's why we're reminding you to always look again and never leave children alone in a vehicle.
Look Again is an important reminder not only for child care providers, but also for parents, grandparents, friends, anyone caring for a child.
When you arrive at your destination, look through your car to make sure everyone is out safely. Then look again.
If you see a child left alone in a vehicle, call 911 immediately. Every minute counts.
Help us spread this important message by visiting our website or following us on Facebook and Twitter. Everyone can play their part. Right, Callie?
Welcome back. As many of you may know, we have a centennial exhibit going on at the museum celebrating the 1954 Coffee County Centennial production. And it was quite a production. And Mary Clyde Scott's here to talk about it today.
Well, I guess I'm one of the oldest people in the county that really remembers it.
So well, that's good.
Why I'm invited.
That's right. That's why we want your expertise.
Well, I'm really connected to the Centennial because my great-great-grandfather was elected the first sheriff of Coffee County when Coffee County was organized in 1854. And I think that it's interesting that the planning for the Centennial started almost a year ahead. Everybody started talking about it and they began to get interested in it, and the clubs began to be interested, and they found that they could have programs that dealt with it, and then they began to invite people from out of town to come and do the programs for them leading up to the Centennial. And the county and then all of the merchants began to get excited about it. And all of the people decided that they would certainly dress in that age and time. And so we all began thinking about what kind of clothes we'd wear. So this began way ahead of time. Now back then people sewed.
Yes.
And so there were quite a few cloth shops in Douglas. And the cloth shops began ordering material that had those little prints in it like they used to wear back then. So we all would go down and look through the cloth shops and try to pick out the material for our dresses and bonnets and so forth. And we found out that there were a couple of women in the county that still made those old-timey bonnets. The kind that shaded your face and then had a little flap in the back to cover your neck to keep the sun off of your neck. So we were all getting ready to go out and talk to the ladies and get them to make the bonnets for us. And so we had to do that ahead of time. And those poor ladies must have been busy for about a year making the bonnets for everybody. And of course, we had to take the material out that would kind of match our outfits to get the bonnets made. And the men, too, were busy with the material, getting their costumes together and so on. And one of the big things the men did was grow the beards.
Brothers of the Bush. That's all.
They could not wait to grow beards. And so they would meet at the barber shop and get it trimmed a little bit and talk to each other about who had the best beards and the longest beards and who was going to win the prize. And I don't remember anything about the prize. Maybe there was one, maybe there wasn't.
It was. We have an article that shows who had the neatest goatee and the mustache. We've got all that information. They can come by and look at that.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought there must have been because the men were so excited about that part of it. So anything else you think of to ask?
Well, we have a program about this extravaganza, this play they put on.
Oh.
And I think there must have been 500 people in that play. You had soldiers and Indians and women and children. It was just, and they said they had it at the stadium.
I vaguely remember going to that, and there was such a crowd. I've just never seen the county come together like they did back then. And we just had just a wonderful week's celebration as I remember it. And then we began to invite our relatives and our friends who had lived here. We invited them to come back and be a part of the celebration. So almost everyone had house guests through that whole time. I know that my cousins from Vidalia, the Bryces, my daddy's sister and all of her kids. So we had a house full of company from there who came and celebrated with us. And of course they had to have their costumes made, and they came in the old-timey dresses and the whatever they had to have and so forth. And it was just a wonderful time of celebration.
Well, the Rogers girls, Bernice and Jane, were here this past weekend.
Yeah.
And they were commenting on being dunked at the courthouse. Like if you weren't dressed appropriately or something, they'd dunk them in this, what I call a cow trough, big metal cow trough.
Yeah, they had all kinds of fun things going on. And it was just a whole week as I remember it. And I think there must have been 2 or 3 parades every day.
Oh, we were counting them the other day. In our pictures up here, we have photos from the parades. Everybody had a beauty queen, everybody had a day. There was Negro Day, there was school day. I mean, every day there was a parade in town.
That was in favor of somebody.
I mean, some group had
a celebration
parade.
of somebody.
And if you'll notice, our crowd scenes at these parades were racially mixed. It wasn't like, one or the other. And the crowds are amazing. You have people sitting on the rooftops of the buildings downtown with their legs hanging off. And I'm thinking, because I'm scared of heights. But I just thought that was just, I have never seen in my lifetime that many people in downtown Douglas.
Well, it took you all day because if you came to town for one of the parades, you had to park so far out. Then you had to walk in, find you a place, and then by the time you did that, you were hungry and tried to find somewhere to eat and wait to get something to eat, and then walk around looking at all of the windows that the merchants had fixed, because they were all celebrating and had ordered extra things, and most of them had some old-timey thing in the window that you could look at and see. So if you came to a parade, it took you all day, and you would see 2 or 3 parades before you left.
Well, I noticed also with that play they put on, and they had hired this company to write this play and direct it and all this stuff, but the people that put it together took extra special care to involve every community in Coffee County.
Oh, that's great.
Because my grandmother at West Green and Louise Dockery at Roxton, they were in charge of this. And Jimmy Wren from Nichols was in charge of this. It wasn't just a City of Douglas thing, it truly was a county celebration.
And what was so wonderful was the way everybody cooperated.
Everybody.